and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Tyro with your host Donald Wonder. I'm joined again with one of my favourite hosts and co-hosts, Mampers. Welcome back.
How you doing, guys? I'm back. I'm always back.
How you doing? And you know what? You're a fan of comedy. You've always said that, so...
I've dipped my toe once or twice in stand-up comedy, but I won't be doing it again anytime soon.
I'm sure you made us laugh even if you failed. And anyway, I can't find that clip, but that's beside the point. We're going to be speaking about one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all comedic actors, however you want to call it, of all time, Ricard Pryor. And we're going to be speaking about him in this documentary called Ricard Pryor, Omit the Logic, which I believe was made in 2013. Is that correct?
Yes, it was made in 2013.
And I believe it was done by that US network Showtime, and they showed it on the BBC network. Is that correct, or something like that?
Yeah, it was showed on BBC 4 as part of their Storyville strand of documentaries. So Storyville has different strands of different documentaries that they show in a period of time. So
well, that's cool. We might be checking out something else they've done in the future. But either way, this is a documentary about the legend that is Ricard Pryor. And before we get into the documentary itself, we need to speak about our experiences with Ricard Pryor just a little bit, so you know where we stand from a fan perspective.
Sure.
I'm going to go first and say Ricard Pryor was not someone I followed for a stand-up comedian. I actually followed him more as an actor growing up. I didn't see his stand-up until later in my life. Obviously, I saw him in Superman 3 and his movies with, was it Gene Wilder? Is that his name?
Yeah, Gene Wilder. Of course, Gene Wilder. Silver Streak, See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Yeah. I saw, that's how I first saw him, and those were great. Even though some people consider that to be his lesser times, I didn't know he was I actually thought it was more of that soft guy, but later I found that he was completely wild, and obviously I found out about his stand-up later, and he was, I became not a massive fan, but it's just, put it this way, I knew how great he was, but even to this day, I just never really went back and listened to all this stuff. So I've always appreciated him, always known he was great. But even to this day, I've never really gone back, and see this documentary was a nice little thing for me. So but that's my thing of Ricard Pryor. I want to hear about your thing about Ricard Pryor as well.
Yeah, Ricard Pryor for me was one of those, when I was growing up, I was watching Brewster's Millions or Silver Streak or See No Evil, Hear No Evil or Superman 3. So I didn't get to know him. But not recently. I mean, when you get into comedy, you get into the things that you like. So like George Carlin or Jerry Seinfeld. And then, obviously Ricard Pryor, who, if it weren't for Ricard Pryor, if you look at it this way, if it weren't for Ricard Pryor, there would be no Dave Chappelle. There would be no Chris Rock. There would be no big stand-up comedians that we have now, because everybody goes back and every black comedian goes back, it's all Ricard Pryor. So I kind of looked back, and I had watched Live on the Sun Strip, and I enjoy it. I mean, every now and then, just recently, me and my mate were talking about the top 5 best comedians, and we both said Ricard Pryor. Because we both said Ricard Pryor has to be in the top 5 for both of us, at least. So he is, it's 40 years now, 40, 45 years, 50 years. He's still relevant today for myself and for you as well, so...
Most definitely, and I'm glad you brought it up. So, getting to the documentary now. I thought this documentary was really great because it's how a documentary should be. It not only chronicles his life from beginning to end, but shows all his ups and downs, has the right celebrity appearances. I know there's a few other Ricard Pryor documentaries, but a lot of people said that this is the one to watch, and I have to agree, because I think on a whole, and I'll get into bits and pieces, I just think this was done very, very, very well. And I feel like I got the full education on Ricard Pryor from watching this, because I didn't know he had his own TV show. I didn't know he flopped and had all these. I knew about the drug stuff, but I didn't know the specifics of. They pointed out specific parts of when he flopped and when he fucked up specifically, and his wives and stuff. And I just felt like this is so comprehensive that I came away feeling like, you know what? I really know this guy now. I can see his ups and downs, and I never knew. I know people are going to roll their eyes when I say this. I never knew his career was that long. Like, when I got into him, it looks like it was near the end of his career. But before that, he had a long career before I got into him. So that was enlightening to me. So overall, without a doubt, I enjoyed this documentary.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this documentary as well. But I enjoyed it for, obviously, knowing Ricard Pryor. And like, before watching this, I knew a lot about Ricard Pryor. Just because somehow I was reading about him or listening to podcasts or whatever. But what I liked about this documentary, it wasn't a chronological documentary. It wasn't sort of say he was born in this time and he was raised at this time and everything else. It kind of just started from when he suffered from his. When I say burnout, I don't mean burnout as in, I'm physically burnt out. He was burnt completely. It started from that aspect.
Yeah.
And then kind of just interjected going back to when he started as a stand-up comedian.
That's true.
Then goes forward and then goes back again to how he was raised up in pretty much a whorehouse that was ran by his grandmother, and his mum was a prostitute and his dad was a pimp. And it was all kind of fascinating because I kind of sat there going like, okay, I know this aspects of Richard Pryor. I want to know if this is going to turn up in the documentary, because I was a bit worried. I was like, oh, they're going to whitewash that? Please don't whitewash that, because this is Richard Pryor. You can't whitewash it. This is him. And so I was a bit, not concerned, but I was a bit like, oh, crap, they're going to just bypass it. But I'm like, no, they have it there, and I like the aspect that they have that there, not at the beginning, but kind of in the middle of the documentary. They're saying, okay, this is the reason why he has so many girlfriends or so many wives and everything else, because of these reasons. This may be the reasons itself. And then his aspect of him going to Africa and like reinventing himself and not using the N-word as such. And I kind of like that. The way his documentary was kind of very unique for me. That's how I liked it. I liked it a lot that way.
Everything you said, I completely agree with. I mean, there's not much to poke at it, to be honest. The only thing I noticed is probably going to sound like a nitpick. Everyone that starred in this documentary, there was a lot of comedians, but honestly, I didn't feel like there was enough. Like, Dave Chappelle was in it, like, he just flashes of him, Robin Williams, there's a white, black, there was a mixture, but I'm like, I need to see some more comedians pay homage to this guy, because I didn't feel like there was enough, but there was a lot.
I think there was enough. You had Paul Mooney, who was the collaborator with Richard Pryor. You had Whoopi Goldberg. You had like Robin Williams and Dave Chappelle. I think there was just like, you had that, but what I liked about it was you had the ex-wife, the ex-managers, people who were just near him, but not as comedians, which I was just like, the documentary was good, but I didn't want comedians just to suck his dick.
I did. I did.
I didn't want them to suck his dick going like how amazing he is. Like, brilliant. We all know how amazing he is as a comedian, but what I want to know was like his lifestyle. I mean, how fucked up he was, during his drug periods or during his period. I mean, you look at him now, I mean, during the periods of when we were watching the movies, like if you look at him beforehand, you look at him like he looks sober or he looks okay. But, once he did the movies like Bruce's Millions and everything else, his eyes were bugged out.
Yeah. His
eyes were bugged out, and you're like when you're younger, you don't realize. You're just like, oh, it's this crazy old Richard Pryor, he's okay. But now looking back and watching this documentary or reading the stuff that I read up, I'm like, oh shit, that's when he was fucked up on crack.
That's what I said. That's the Richard Pryor I always knew. I didn't know the one before. I thought it was always that. Like, I just watched this documentary and them showing all those movies he did was that everyone's considered that to be his sellout phase, and I was like, that's the phase I got into him. Yeah,
it's weird. I think it's just because when you look at it this way, it's like Richard Pryor, like in his prime in the 70s, in the late 60s, early 70s, was very blue, very kind of like military black, very black power and everything else. So seeing him going in the 80s and 90s, kind of playing the very mainstream, very, very, militaist kind of that kind of, just pandering to the white guys.
Yeah.
But at the same time, seeing him, because he was very racially motivated in terms of his beliefs of, the black people and everything else. And that's who he was. And seeing him kind of not have that in the movies that he went into in the 80s, you could see that you could kind of see him. He was kind of heartbroken, but at the same time he was on a lot of drugs, so you could see his eyes were just bugging out, and you could see his gaunt face. I was just like, oh crap. I mean, looking back, you can see like it's kind of like looking back at like Amy Winehouse's life, going, oh shit, this is where it went down. This is where it went down when she dies. On his case, it wasn't the drugs that killed him; it was MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
But even so, you could see like, this is the point where it all kind of went away from him in a way, and Yeah, I mean, it's still an amazing documentary to watch. It's a good documentary to watch, especially if you're a fan of comedy and you're a fan of the stand-up comedian Richard Pryor. It's fascinating to watch. It's just kind of weird to watch it with Robin Williams there, because you're just sitting there going like,
He's dead, yeah.
You're dead as well. Like, this should be a documentary about you, but
which they will be, and we'll definitely speak about. Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time.
oh no. If there's a documentary about Robin Williams, like I remember when Robin Williams died, I was in Edinburgh of all places during the festival, Fringe Festival. That place was dead. Like, when I mean it was dead, like stand-up comedians in the Fringe will joke about anything and everything. And when I was in Edinburgh, I know, sorry to derail this.
No, it's fine.
Richard Pryor. But when I was in Edinburgh, when I found out Richard Pryor died, I went to see stand-up comedians and just spoke to them outside. I said, "Yo, Richard Pryor, Robin Williams is dead," and they said, "Yeah, we can't make any jokes about it," and that's tough because stand-up comedians make jokes about anything, and they're like, "We can't do it right now because it's still raw, because we still look up to him as a hero. It's too raw for us." Like,
and for the record, I do want to say, I wish we had at the time Robin Williams died, we didn't have like the podcast 19. We would have done a special on him, but I'm sure there'll be content down the line. We'll have our chance with Robin. I guarantee we'll have our chance with Robin Williams when they come to Pairs Respect later. So, but yeah, getting back to Richard Pryor, this documentary was great. And one thing I do want to, I know I really shouldn't bring this up because it's like kind of but they show his comedy as well, because they have to, his raw comedy. His comedy is still 100% fresh, hella funny, and
it is. It's still
great.
Funny. It's still funny. It's still funny as hell. It's still one of the. It's up there with. I say it's up there with Eddie Murphy's Raw or Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
100%. Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, you can't do it now. Like, I can't imagine a Richard Pryor doing his shit now, but at his time, hilarious. Just like Eddie Murphy at his time is hilarious.
I could see him doing it now. Honestly, I think people channel him all the time. I think he was just, it's just that he looked really, really skinny. But other than that, everything he says is like, nigga, please. but still, I mean, I could believe, he's just such a funny storyteller.
He's on point. He's on point, as they would say.
100% on point. And he was so revolutionary in what it was, black people, the culture. He changed the comedy scene. Definitely even though I'm not the biggest comedy fan or comedy like documentarian or anything, I really do think I'm glad he's held as one of the greatest.
Yeah. And
there was a lot of people to back up in this documentary, and I'm looking forward to going back somewhere down the line and checking out his comedy tapes and the best of, and obviously, guys, that I think the guy who's doing his live action movie tape was in this, right? What's his name again?
Yeah, Mike Epps.
Yeah, Mike Epps.
Yeah, I'm looking at him going, please do a good job. But I think like if you're gonna take a role like that and you're a comedian, then I know Mike Epps would know Richard Pryor inside out, would know his mannerisms and know everything else about him. I can totally see it happening.
I really hope so, because honestly, I don't really like Mike Epps as an actor. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really like him.
It'll be one of those things where it'll be like Ray for Jamie Foxx or something like that, where it will just bring out it'll be the defining role for that guy.
I'm hoping that the cast and director saw that in him. I'm like you're saying, I'm really hoping that no, this is the one thing he just kills out of the park, and we got the right guy. And I'll eat my words, but I'm just saying everything he's done before.
That's what I'm thinking as well, because I'm thinking like Mike Epps will be known as Richard Pryor, like that will be his role. Like just recently, Don Cheadle will be seen as Miles Davis, even though the movie isn't, as I've heard, is not so great.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I believe, like, if this is the role for you, then this is the role for you. That you will be playing, that you'll be remembered for it, and hopefully when it comes out, it will be good. I'm touching wood on that one as well. So.
I'm sure we'll follow up on that. But yeah, what's your rating for the documentary?
First class. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's not amazing, but I really, really enjoyed it. And knowing Richard Pryor beforehand, and knowing his struggles and everything else about him, I was thinking, okay, they mentioned it here, but they haven't mentioned it in a chronological kind of 60 minutes kind of run through his whole life. I liked it that way, and the different aspects of it, I really enjoyed it. So
I'm right there with you. First class. They did it very well. Even from a cinematography standpoint, they edited it very well. They edit it with the right documents, with the right flashes, with the right people on there. It's just put together very, very consistently. It's a very good homage to this person, this comedian, and it's very informative. It's the whole package. It's everything you could ask for you know, just not, as you said, it's not, even though I said that as a joke, it's not a sucking dick session. It's a look at the guy's life, not conventionally, not boringly. And I sat down and got through this. As soon as I sat down and started watching it, it was done. I just watched it all. It was very, very fun, very funny. And, you know, to end it, I do want to say, I actually felt like, even though he had MS, he lived quite a long life. I know 65, whatever, isn't considered that still young.
What's the word they say? Like, what did Mike Epps says? Like, you can live 10 million lives, or you can live many, many lives, and you'll never compete a week of Richard Pryor's life. I'm like, man, Richard Pryor did everything and anything, and yeah, we can't live his life. Like, we can't even dare to live his life.
Oh, watching this, he had his fun, and honestly, he died. Even though he had MS, he died slowly. You know, we saw it coming. He died. He withered away, and people looked after him. His wife looked after him. He was always, you know, he's looked upon fondly, and you know. No, I'm not going to talk about movies anymore, but you know, he's looked upon fondly, and you know, it's just good. So, first class from both of us. Check it out, guys. And you know what? If you've seen this documentary, or if you're looking for a Richard Pryor documentary to check out, everyone says this is the one, and I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, this is definitely the one to watch. I highly enjoyed it.
Leave a comment in the comment section down below if you've seen it on your, let's hear your opinions, let's hear your thoughts, or if you have seen another one which you think is superior, let us know in the comments down below. We're open to hear it. But again, I want to thank my man Mampers for joining me on for this one, because you are the comedy fanboy.
Thank you.
It was great to have your opinion on. But guys, also join our community on Planet Tyro. You can do that by hitting that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. But if you're listening to us on a podcast through iTunes, we've got the RSS feed down there. Leave a comment down there. You can email us, even though I don't give the email out too much, because who uses the email? We've got Twitter at Planet Tyro, but email us at planettyro@gmail.com if you like. You can hit Mampers up on this Twitter page, which will also be in the link description, or you can tell us right now if you want.
Mampers84. Mampers 84.
And that will be in the link in the description below. But again, guys, hit the annotation on the right to all the other stuff we do. If you want to check out all of our other videos for animation, books, movies, TV shows, what have you. And I want to say, once and for all, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Adios.
See ya.